Everything you think you know about Vikings is wrong. Those iconic horned helmets never existed. Just bloodthirsty raiders? Not even close. While Hollywood painted Vikings as one-dimensional barbarians, archaeology tells a different story. These misunderstood Norsemen established trade networks stretching from North America to Baghdad, created intricate art that still influences design today, and founded cities you might have visited. Their ships were so advanced, they're still studied by naval engineers. Ready to discover the Vikings that history class never taught you? The horned helmet myth. Have you ever wondered why Vikings are always shown wearing horned helmets? It's in movies, cartoons, sports logos, and even Halloween costumes. These horned helmets have become the universal symbol of Vikings. There's just one small problem. No actual Viking helmet with horns has ever been found. Not one. In all the archaeological digs across Scandinavia, researchers have never discovered a single Viking helmet with horns attached. So, where did this iconic image come from? The horned helmet myth began in the 1800s, far removed from the actual Viking age, which lasted from roughly 793 to 1066 CE. The real culprit wasn't historians, but artists. In 1876, costume designer Carl Emil Doppler created elaborate outfits for Wagner's epic Norse-inspired opera cycle Der Ring des Nibelungen. Doppler outfitted his Norse heroes with winged and horned helmets to make them look more dramatic and mythical on stage. These theatrical costumes caught the public's imagination and created a visual shorthand for Viking that stuck in popular culture. Early Hollywood films cemented this false image in our minds. Movies from the early 20th century portrayed Vikings with these dramatic horned helmets because they looked impressive on screen. The 1928 silent film The Viking helped popularize this look, and by the time Kirk Douglas starred in The Vikings in 1958, the horned helmet had become inseparable from our image of these Norse seafarers. Comics, television, and sports teams like the Minnesota Vikings continued to reinforce this made-up fashion choice. What did real Viking helmets actually look like? Archaeological evidence tells a very different story. Real Viking helmets were practical fighting gear, simple, effective metal or leather caps designed for actual combat. Most were conical or rounded to deflect blows from swords and axes. Some had a simple nose guard extending down from the brow, but that's about as fancy as they got. These helmets were typically made from a single piece of iron or from several pieces riveted together. Think about it from a practical perspective. Horns on a helmet would be incredibly dangerous in battle. They'd provide enemies with something to grab onto, making it easy to yank your head around or pull your helmet off. The extra weight would strain your neck during long battles. Horns would also catch on low doorways, tree branches, and ship rigging. Not ideal for seafaring raiders. Most importantly, horns would make helmets much more expensive and time-consuming to produce with no actual combat benefit. The best example of what Vikings really wore on their heads comes from Jumanbu, Norway. In 1943, archaeologists discovered the only complete Viking helmet ever found, dating to around 970 CE. This helmet consisted of a rounded iron cap made from several pieces riveted together with a simple eye guard and what was likely a mail curtain to protect the neck. It's practical, effective, and notably horn-free. The Jumanbu helmet wasn't fancy or mythical. It was a working piece of military equipment designed by people who understood real combat. Museum collections around the world contain fragments of other Viking helmets, all following the same practical design principles. The Viking Ship Museum in Oslo displays several helmet fragments that match the Jumanbu style. The Historical Museum of Sweden houses similar finds. None have horns, wings, or any of the theatrical elements we associate with Viking headgear. What's particularly interesting is that we actually do have evidence of horned helmets from Scandinavia, just not from the Viking Age. Bronze Age rock carvings from Sweden, dating to around 1500 BCE. Almost 2,000 years before the Vikings, show figures wearing what appear to be horned helmets. Some ceremonial helmets with horns have been found from this earlier period. The Vixo helmets, discovered in Denmark and dating to the Nordic Bronze Age, feature curve horns and were likely used for religious ceremonies, not combat. These pre-Viking artifacts may have contributed to the confusion about Viking headgear. The Viking helmet myth shows how easily fiction can replace fact in our understanding of history. Once a false image becomes embedded in popular culture, it's surprisingly difficult to correct. The horned helmet has become such a powerful symbol that it persists despite all archaeological evidence to the contrary. Museums and historians have been trying to correct this misconception for decades, but the horned helmet remains firmly fixed in our collective imagination. This raises an important question. If we got something as basic as Viking headgear completely wrong, what else might we have misunderstood about these people? The horned helmet is just one of many myths that have distorted our understanding of Viking culture and society. These misconceptions don't just make for inaccurate movies, they prevent us from appreciating the actual accomplishments and complexity of Viking civilization. Viking helmets represent just the tip of the historical inaccuracy iceberg. Popular media has created an image of Vikings as one-dimensional raiders dressed in furs and impractical armor, screaming as they charge into battle. The reality, as we'll see, was far more complex and interesting. Vikings were skilled craftspeople, clever merchants, daring explorers, and innovative shipbuilders. Their society had sophisticated legal codes, rich artistic traditions, and extensive trade networks that stretched across continents. Did Vikings actually wear horned helmets like we see in movies? No. This iconic image is a complete fabrication from 19th century theatrical productions. The historical Vikings wore practical combat, helmets designed for real battles, not theatrical costumes designed to impress an opera audience. This disconnect between popular imagination and historical reality shows just how thoroughly mythology has replaced fact in our understanding of Viking culture. If we've been so wrong about something as visible and basic as what Vikings wore on their heads, what else might we have misunderstood about them? The horned helmet myth is just the beginning of our journey into separating Viking fact from fiction. The common view of Vikings as simple, bloodthirsty raiders is just as mistaken as the image of them wearing horned helmets into battle. These misconceptions matter because they flatten a rich and complex culture into a one-dimensional stereotype. By looking at the actual archaeological evidence rather than Hollywood inventions, we can discover a much more interesting and nuanced picture of who the Vikings really were. So, if Vikings weren't horn-helmeted berserkers focused exclusively on raiding, what were they doing for those 3 centuries that made such a mark on European history? Let's look at another aspect of Viking society that rarely makes it into the movies. Their remarkable achievements as traders and merchants who created an international commercial network that spanned 3 continents. Beyond raiders, the Viking trading empire. What if I told you Vikings were more like international business people than the bloodthirsty raiders we see in TV shows? While Hollywood loves to show Vikings charging into monasteries with axes raised, archaeology tells us they spent far more time trading than raiding. These Norse merchants created one of the most impressive commercial networks of the medieval world, connecting 3 continents through reliable trade routes that would make modern logistics companies jealous. The Viking trading network was truly remarkable for its time. During the 8th to 11th centuries, most Europeans rarely traveled more than 20 miles from their homes. Meanwhile, Vikings were sailing from Scandinavia to North Africa, the Middle East, and even North America. They established trading posts from Newfoundland to Baghdad, creating commercial connections between peoples who otherwise would never have interacted. This shouldn't really surprise us. Raiding is risky, unpredictable, and creates enemies. Trading, on the other hand, builds wealth, creates allies, and offers more sustainable profits. Smart Vikings figured this out quickly. Why risk your life stealing silver when you could make a fortune selling walrus, ivory, amber, and furs to eager buyers abroad? The problem with our understanding of Vikings comes down to who wrote the history. Monks whose monasteries were attacked by Vikings wrote detailed accounts of these traumatic raids. Meanwhile, the countless peaceful trading voyages went largely unrecorded. It's like judging modern America solely by crime reports while ignoring everything else people do daily. Fortunately, archaeology gives us a more balanced picture. Let's look at what archaeologists have actually found. Across Scandinavia, excavations have uncovered thousands of Arabic silver coins called dirhams. These weren't stolen in raids, they were earned through trade. In Sweden alone, over 85,000 Islamic coins have been discovered, with most dating to the Viking Age. These coins traveled thousands of miles for mints in places like Baghdad, Damascus, and Samarkand before reaching Nordic hands through extensive trade networks. The Vikings' eastern trade route was particularly impressive. Starting from Sweden, Viking merchants would sail across the Baltic Sea to what is now Russia. From there, they navigated a complex network of rivers, including the Volga and Dnieper. These waterways allowed them to reach the Black Sea and Caspian Sea, opening access to Constantinople, modern Istanbul, and the wealthy Islamic world beyond. This eastern route became so important that the Vikings who traveled it regularly became known as the Rus, the people who eventually gave Russia its name. Arabic writers from the period described these Norse merchants arriving in Baghdad with their valuable northern goods. Ibn Fadlan, an Arab diplomat who met Viking traders in the 920s, wrote detailed accounts of these Rus merchants and their customs, providing rare first-hand descriptions. What exactly were Vikings trading? From the north, they brought items that were common to them but exotic and valuable elsewhere. Furs from forest animals like fox, marten, and beaver were highly prized by wealthy buyers in the south. Walrus ivory provided a popular alternative to elephant ivory, especially for intricate carvings and luxury items. Amber from the Baltic coast, with its golden color and unique properties, was valued for jewelry and medicine. Vikings also traded slaves captured during raids or wars, honey, wax, and iron weapons. In return, they received silver coins, bronze, copper, colorful glass beads, expensive spices, silk from China, and exotic fruits and nuts. These luxury items found in Viking graves show the impressive reach of their trade networks. Archaeologists have discovered Buddha figurines from India, cowrie shells from the Red Sea, and silk from China, all in Viking burial sites. A Viking woman buried in Norway was found wearing a ring inscribed with the Arabic phrase for Allah, clear evidence of these intercontinental connections. The Western trade routes were equally impressive. Vikings from Denmark and Norway established trading posts across the British Isles, Ireland, France, and as far south as the Mediterranean. They navigated the difficult Atlantic waters with remarkable skill, reaching Iceland, Greenland, and even North America centuries before Columbus. At each location, they traded local goods and connected previously isolated economies. Archaeological finds in Dublin, York, and Hedeby show these were bustling market towns where goods from across the known world changed hands. Excavations at Jorvik, Viking York, revealed workshops producing everything from jewelry to textiles alongside imported goods from as far away as the Middle East. These trading centers had designated market areas, specialized craft districts, and surprisingly sophisticated commercial facilities. Vikings didn't just trade goods, they transported ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. Writing systems, art styles, and religious concepts moved along these same trade routes. The Vikings' commercial network served as a cultural exchange, enriching all societies involved. Just as the internet connects modern cultures, Viking trade routes connected medieval ones. These Norse merchants developed sophisticated business practices too. They created standardized weight systems for fair trading, established regular markets with set dates, and developed merchant partnerships for sharing risk. Many Viking merchants carried small folding scales and standardized weights, allowing them to conduct fair transactions anywhere their travels took them. These personal weighing kits have been found in many Viking merchant graves. In many ways, Vikings functioned as the Amazon Prime of the 9th century. Need exotic spices from the East? Amber jewelry from the Baltic? Silver from Arabic lands? The Vikings could deliver. Their ships carried goods between regions that otherwise had no direct contact, creating wealth through the differences in what items were valued in different places. This trading empire required sophisticated organization. It wasn't just individual merchants making random trips. The archaeological evidence shows systematic, regular trading patterns that must have required coordination, planning, and protection. Viking rulers understood the value of trade and often provided security for merchants, collecting taxes on goods that passed through their territories. The most tangible evidence of this vast trading network comes from the hoards Vikings buried for safekeeping. Across Scandinavia, Britain, and Eastern Europe, farmers and archaeologists have discovered Viking treasure hoards containing a remarkable mix of items from different cultures. The Querdale hoard found in England contained over 8,600 items, including silver coins from as far away as Afghanistan, all buried by Viking merchants for safekeeping around 905 CE. One particularly fascinating site is Helgo in Sweden, where archaeologists found a Buddha statue from India, a bishop's crozier from Ireland, and a ladle from North Africa, all in the same location. These items had traveled thousands of miles through multiple hands. Before reaching this Viking trading center, imagine the stories these objects could tell about their journeys across continents. What surprising trade networks did Vikings establish across 3 continents? Vikings created trade routes stretching from North America to Baghdad, making them medieval global entrepreneurs. They connected cultures that otherwise had little contact, transporting not just goods but ideas, technologies, and cultural practices across vast distances. Their ships sailed rivers deep into Russia, across the Mediterranean, and along the Atlantic coast, creating a commercial web that spanned 3 continents. These wealthy traders didn't just pass through the places they visited. In many locations, what started as seasonal trading posts grew into permanent settlements and eventually major cities. From Dublin to Kiev, Vikings established trading centers that attracted merchants from near and far. These commercial hubs needed permanent residents to maintain them, leading Vikings to transition from visitors to settlers. Their business acumen helped create urban centers that still thrive today, transforming them from raiders into city builders whose legacy continues in the streets of modern Europe. City founders, from raiders to urban planners. Did you know many major European cities owe their existence or growth to Viking settlers? Places like Dublin, York, and Kiev weren't just raided by Vikings. They were built by them too. The popular image of Vikings burning cities to the ground only tells half the story. These same Norse people also founded thriving urban centers that continue to prosper today. The Vikings began as seasonal visitors to foreign shores. They would arrive in summer, trade or raid, and return home before winter. But something interesting happened over time. These temporary visitors realized that establishing year-round trading posts was more profitable than making dangerous journeys back and forth across the sea. What started as simple wooden structures built near good harbors gradually developed into permanent settlements with organized streets, workshops, and houses. Dublin offers perhaps the clearest example of Vikings transforming from raiders to city founders. In 841, Norse ships arrived on the eastern coast of Ireland. They initially built a fortified camp near the mouth of the River Liffey, a simple long fort ship harbor that served as a base for raids into the Irish countryside. But this temporary outpost soon became something much more permanent. Archaeological excavations in Dublin have uncovered the gradual evolution from camp to city. By the 900s, Vikings had established a proper town with regular streets and permanent wooden buildings. The settlement included a busy harbor, markets, and craft workshops where artisans created jewelry, textiles, and leather goods. Most revealing are the house foundations archaeologists have uncovered. They show a transition from Viking-style longhouses to more urban building types, showing how Norse settlers adapted to urban living. The Vikings brought urban planning concepts that were rare in Ireland at that time. They organized Dublin into a grid pattern with planned streets rather than the organic, unplanned growth common to many medieval towns. Excavations along Fishamble Street in Dublin revealed an organized layout of over 200 houses, workshops, and yards from the Viking period. The archaeological evidence shows distinct zones for different activities: residential areas, commercial districts, and industrial areas for messy crafts like metalworking and tanning. The Viking impact on Dublin wasn't just physical. They transformed it into an international trading center connected to their vast commercial network. Ships from all over the Norse world arrived in Dublin's harbor, bringing goods from as far away as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world. Dublin became a multicultural city where Irish, Norse, and other European cultures mixed, creating unique art styles, jewelry designs, and even architectural features that combined elements from different traditions. York, known as Jorvik during Viking times, tells a similar story of transformation. Vikings captured the Anglo-Saxon city in 866. Instead of just plundering and leaving, they recognized York's strategic location at the junction of two rivers and decided to stay. Under Viking rule, York grew into one of medieval Britain's largest and richest cities, with a population estimated at over 10,000 people, huge by early medieval standards. The Coppergate excavations in York uncovered remarkable evidence of Viking urban life. Archaeologists found remains of timber-framed buildings arranged in narrow property plots along planned streets. These houses were packed tightly together, with workshops at the front facing the street and living quarters behind. The level of preservation was so exceptional that archaeologists found everyday items like wooden bowls, leather shoes, and even Viking-age toilets, giving us a vivid picture of daily urban life. York's Viking-age streets buzzed with specialized craftspeople. The name Coppergate itself means Street of the Cupmakers in Old Norse, indicating an area where wooden vessels were manufactured. Archaeologists found workshops for blacksmiths, jewelers, comb makers, leatherworkers, and textile producers. This specialization shows a sophisticated urban economy where people relied on buying goods and services rather than producing everything themselves, a hallmark of true city life. The Viking city building reached even further east, where they played a crucial role in establishing Russia's earliest urban centers. Norse traders and warriors known as the Rus traveled the great Russian rivers and established trading posts that grew into major cities. Novgorod and Kiev began as Viking trading stations before expanding into the foundations of the medieval Russian state, known as Kievan Rus. Archaeologists working in Novgorod have uncovered extensive wooden streets, houses, and workshops dating to the Viking Age. The preservation of organic materials in Novgorod's waterlogged soil is exceptional, revealing details of urban life that are usually lost to time. The excavations show planned neighborhoods with wooden streets carefully constructed from split logs. These streets were regularly repaired and rebuilt as they wore out or sank into the wet ground, showing organized city maintenance that required coordinated civic effort. Birka in Sweden represents one of the earliest purpose-built trading towns in Scandinavia. Founded around 750 CE, it was designed from the beginning as an international marketplace. Archaeological investigations show a carefully planned town with a street grid, designated craft areas, and a harbor facility. Defensive walls surrounded the settlement, and a separate area contained pagan burial grounds. Birka's artifacts reveal connections to places as distant as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world, showing how these Viking trading centers connected Northern Europe to global trade networks. A key feature of Viking urban centers was their multicultural nature. Unlike many medieval settlements that were relatively isolated, Viking towns were deliberately connected to international networks. Dublin had Irish, Norse, and Anglo-Saxon residents. York contained people from across the Viking world. Novgorod mixed Slavic, Finnish, and Norse populations. This diversity created dynamic cultural environments where ideas, technologies, and artistic styles blended in unique ways. The archaeological record reveals that these Viking towns had surprisingly advanced infrastructure. Many had wooden sidewalks, keeping pedestrians above the mud. Some had drainage systems to manage waste and rainwater. Public spaces for markets and assemblies were carefully laid out. Property boundaries were clearly marked and respected over generations, suggesting established legal systems governing urban property. These settlements weren't just physical spaces, but communities with distinct identities and governance.